Hey there, and welcome to the Total Woman Show. Boy, do we have a hot topic for you today, and I know you're going to enjoy the show today. I'm here with my co-host, Coach Allison, health coach from Los Angeles area.
Hi.
Patty Cotton. Oh, she is the leadership coach and the executive coach, I might say, from Los Angeles area. And we've got Jody Tucker from Canada.
Hi.
Leadership and executive coach too, and change
Absolutely.
agent. And we're all here today, and this is your humble servant, Dr. Barbara Young. I am the change agent for today. We're happy to have you on the show. Call your friends and tell them to listen in to the Total Woman Show. This is the show that's going to transform your life one step at a time. So, today our topic is so interesting and very provocative, and it's very widespread. Because more and more I hear the number one complaint. I hear from a lot of women and a few men, whether it's in business or personal life or in just in general, is why don't I have self-confidence? And they'll share with me that even though I'm successful from the outside, but I don't feel confident. And so today we're going to talk about self-confidence. How do you build it? How do you get it? How do you keep it? And is there a difference between self-confidence and self-esteem? Because we hear that, and oftentimes they're synonymous. People say self-esteem, self-confidence. So today we're going to give you some great ideas, and we're going to delve into this topic. Yay!
Yeah. Good.
So I just want to say that for myself personally, and I'll just jump out of the chute. There were many reasons I think that when I grew up, it was because I was always sort of like pushed back, in terms of self-confidence. But actually, self-confidence for me was built over a series of successes. And maybe you guys didn't know this, but I was 6 years old when I went on stage and I played the Blue Fairy in the show Pinocchio. And so, really, to tell you the truth, that was something to stand on that stage and to sing this song and to have the audience give me a standing ovation. So I'd like to say that my self-confidence at that point began to build, and then I would strive to achieve greater heights because it to have that affirmation that you're good.
Yeah.
And so I think but somewhere along the line some of that erosion occurs, and it does occur.
It does, yeah. For everybody.
Yeah, for everybody.
Yeah, but when you're doing something that scares you to death, and you made it through, it really builds a lot of confidence.
Right.
I mean, I always recommend that to people.
Right.
There are so many fears, and you just don't want to try because you think you're just gonna fear. But when you make it through that, when it demands you to stretch yourself a little bit,
Yeah.
that's an accomplishment. When you make it through, so
That's
that
true.
builds your confidence.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we really have a bizarre relationship with fear when we let it stop us from doing those hard things,
Yeah.
Instead of embracing fear and saying, I think I'm supposed to feel this, but I'm going to do it anyway. I think, when you're struggling with your self-confidence, that perception that you might have that fear means you're not a confident person is a lie that you're telling yourself. It's a lie that you're that nobody else who did this before you felt afraid.
Right.
I mean, we all afraid,
yeah.
the first you're supposed to be afraid, and I find myself telling, especially new entrepreneurs, they're freaked out about this big thing that they're going to put out there in the world that they're going to show up with, and they're afraid.
Yeah.
I remember
Yeah,
us talking
right.
before the show, Patty. You're saying afraid of success or failure or whatever
Right,
it happens
right,
to be,
right,
but there's
right,
this
yeah,
bizarre
right.
relationship
Right.
that confidence has with fear, that we tell ourselves these lies that somehow we aren't confident if we're
Right.
afraid.
Well, the question that I pose to all of you, is there a difference between self-esteem and self-confidence?
Sometimes they overlap. I think self-esteem generally has to do with who I think about myself. Am I a good person? Am I a bad person? Whereas confidence is the ability to do. And so who I am, self-esteem, what I do, confidence, but they do overlap. And we were talking earlier too, talking before the show, our self-image can dictate what we think we're able to do.
Right.
Exactly.
Or if we're not able to do something, we will then come back and say, I am not a good person.
Right.
Rather
Right.
than I didn't do that like I wanted to.
Right.
Let me
It
see
comes
how
up,
to
yeah,
do
it comes
that.
up all the time because
Yes.
as a health
Yeah.
coach, we set a lot of goals,
Right.
health goals, and
Yeah.
and about how many, to improve sleep or improve diet or movement or whatever. And when my clients do not accomplish those things as well as they wanted to, they think that it makes them a bad person.
Right.
And they don't want to, you know,
Right.
they're hesitant to set those
Right.
same goals and keep
Right.
trying. It's like, well, no, it's going to be a zigzag or, you know, going forward and backwards. I mean, it's going to be a repetition of those
Yes.
things. And
Yeah.
we all want to go straight to the success, but
Right.
that
Yeah.
hardly ever happens,
right.
you know.
No.
I don't
You
think it
know,
ever happens, you know. So.
Yeah, not
It doesn't.
really.
You know,
Yeah.
one of the
Yeah.
interesting things is that what I recently learned, and I shared with you guys earlier on break about an 8-year study that was done by Blydorn. She's from Australia, and she'd done this research over 48 countries, and from her studies, what she determined was across cultures, men were more confident than women. And I thought, wow, you know, from Norway to New Zealand to South Africa. And so when we start looking at the United States, it's still inherent in our culture that men are more confident than women. So how is this? The gap between how little women think of themselves compared to how highly men think of themselves. I found it very, very fascinating.
It is fascinating. I think it has to do with wiring and nurturing. So the men have the testosterone, and in most cultures, they're considered the hunters, the warriors, that get dirty and compete and get out there and roll in the mud type of a thing. So it builds that ability to operate in the world with confidence, whereas the women are wired differently. We're wired as peacemakers. Oxytocin really rises in us for most of our lives, and that's the peacemaking that can allow us to take a back seat and feel like it's okay. And Blydorn's research is fabulous.
It is
what
fabulous,
I think she points out is that in countries where there's a big gap, you know your role.
Right.
But when you have a small gap like you do in the United States, that's where you get the creative tension. It's like, wait a minute,
That's where the
there's a
conflict is.
possibility
That's where-
that I
yeah,
absolutely
right,
can step
right,
into these
right,
shoes or those shoes, leadership-wise or otherwise.
Now, interesting, her
Yes.
research showed in Asian countries, the Asian women compared themselves to other women.
Yes.
Not
I believe that.
particularly,
I believe
not
that.
particularly men.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a fascinating study. This whole notion of self-confidence, and what I'm going to later kind of talk about, the confidence factor, is how do we get it? You know, and what I'm seeing today, and maybe many of you can chime in on this, is that it starts with little kids. I mean, if you're constantly told you're not anything, you're never going to grow up to be anything,
Yeah.
or you're just like that aunt of yours who ran away, got pregnant, or whatever. I mean, the self-fulfilling prophecy. And so how many times are there stories where the kids are built up in terms of you're great, you're a wonderful human being? I mean, can you imagine telling your kids that from the time they're like this? And some people do, because programming, I think you talked about programming and having a mindset that I'm okay, because that's the self-esteem that later grows into I'm confident that I can do this.
Yeah.
Right.
Because it comes from the self-esteem that I know that
Yeah.
I'm capable and I can do this.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's true, because I come from a very strict background, very structured background, and then if anybody knows anything about Korean culture, they know that academics are very, very important.
Oh, of course.
And
Don't bring a C in this house. Don't bring a
number
C.
2 is not good enough, right? But and I wasn't always number 1, but I was raised knowing that if I can be good at one thing, I might as well be good at other things. I mean, there's it's absolutely possible.
There are no
to-
limitations.
Yeah, absolutely possible to be good at many things.
Right.
And but what I learned at a very young age is that being good is not an instantaneous thing. It takes time and effort, right? So, not good yet, but you can become better and
Yes,
become
yes,
good.
yes.
And I learned to recognize that. Now I don't see a lot of now that I'm older, I see how rare that is sometimes. You know, when I talk to people, maybe it's just a cycle of someone who's already hurting inside, and then they tell their own children about, you know, well, you're not gonna, you know, do anything.
Yeah.
I see that a lot. This is a very vicious cycle, and of course, it's possible to break that cycle,
Yeah.
but it's extremely difficult.
Yeah.
And then hopefully,
Yeah.
some of our viewers will, listen to our discussion today and see that it is possible. And knowing that you can achieve more with greater confidence. And it all starts up here first.
does,
And people may have been told many discouraging things, but you are the one who gets to decide how much that matters to you. Because when people say
Yes.
things like that, I mean, what do they really know about you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably nothing. That's
And
why they
they-
say that,
Yeah.
right?
And you get to decide what success looks like for you.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Because, and taking your example of the Asian women comparing themselves to
Yeah.
other women, you cannot compare yourself to another person. We all come
That's
with a
right.
basket of gifts and backgrounds and all kinds of things. So really defining success for us
But Patty,
proper.
this is great. But I'm telling you, so many people, and even today, when we look at our millennials, they're driven by looking at other people's success and how
Yes.
successful they are, and thinking that it's something that can be obtained outside. I think what we share today, probably too, and we bring to the table, all of us, is wisdom, going through and learning and growing. But for some of you out
Absolutely.
there who are still searching and trying to find, it's I can tell you, it's not out there. It's not driven
Yeah,
by
no, it's really
comparing
not.
yourself with somebody else's success and looking. And I'm 30 and she's already doing this, and I'm 36 and I haven't made my mark yet. Well, because you're looking at the externals of somebody else's, but
Yeah.
God has a path for you. There's
Yes.
a purpose for
Yeah,
you.
absolutely.
And sometimes we don't even find it until we're 40. But thank God you found it.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the blessing in being able to find it. And I know maybe I'm not dovetailing this with confidence, but that confidence and self-esteem means internally looking within. The other, and I don't want to get preachy because I really get fired up about this, because when you start thinking about people looking outside instead of the internal, and it's work to look internal.
Exactly.
It's a
Exactly.
lot of work, and it's painful. And then it's to success to me means moving forward, not moving on. I don't want to hear anybody else say to me, moving on. Because moving on doesn't mean it's you bringing the past with you. Moving forward
Moving
is
forward.
having a plan.
Yes.
Where are you going? I'm moving forward.
Right.
And so it's this confidence that has to come from within. And even though we can say, I didn't have the kind of childhood you had,
Right,
where
right.
parents were putting into me, you're successful. I didn't have the kind of, I didn't look blonde and blue-eyed like you and cute and all that,
Yeah.
And so, but I've got to find it for myself. What is that,
You do.
within
Because the
us?
battle is different for everybody.
It is
Yeah.
so
I
different.
mean, everybody
Yes.
suffers with
Yeah.
just different things. And so when
Yeah.
I say things like that, just
Yeah.
about my childhood and everything,
Right.
and now when I talk about health, issues
Yeah.
to people, and actually the other day, one lady was very angry when I spoke. When I did I spoke in front of a group, and she was like, "Well, you've never been sick a day in your life, and you're gonna tell me about health and sickness and suffering." And I was like,
Well, Allison, you look gorgeous. You don't look like you've had a day in life of sickness.
well, but
Yeah.
I mean, I
Yeah.
talked about, I was on deathbed with cancer just 4 years ago. So, I mean,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
when people say those things to you, they don't know.
They don't know
Yeah.
what
How
you're
can
going
they
through.
know, you know?
Yeah.
So what we're not saying is that being a confident person delineates your personality. You can be a confident introvert,
Yes.
Yes.
and you can be a
Yes.
confident extrovert.
Yes.
Because I think that there's some confusion around that, right? So that you look at someone and you say, "Oh, I could never be that because she's so confident." I hear that all the time. She's so confident, I could never do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
But wait a
Okay.
second, right?
We gotta
Wait a
go for
second.
break.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
sorry,
Oh.
ladies. We're gonna take a quick commercial break, and we're gonna be right back, and we're gonna talk about that extrovert or introvert controversy. Confident? Okay, we'll be right back, so stay tuned. Thank you. Hi there, and welcome back to the Total Woman Show. You're watching today a very hot topic that we're talking about. We're talking about confidence. How do you get it? How do you build it? How do you keep it? Do you have it? Well, listen in, because I'm sure the second half is going to be greater than the first half. So we were talking about confidence when you think of it in terms of an extrovert or introverted position. So you were waxing eloquently, my dear friend.
Well, yeah. you know, when we look at it, and you had talked about not comparing yourself to other people, and that's really what I'm getting at. That if you look at a model of someone who is out there and very big in their being out there, and you think to yourself, that's a marker of confidence. And that's not you, because that's not your personality. And we've said over and over, it's got to come from within. It's your own personal journey, your own personal stories. And if you're doing that, then you're what you're really accepting is the lie that I can't be a confident person because I'm an introvert. And introverts can be very confident people. And the theme there is that whatever it is that your purpose, your calling, your gifts are, confidence is the ability to embrace those and move them forward, whether that means you're loud and proud or you are one of those quiet pillars that people just look at you and go, my goodness, if you weren't here it would fall apart. Those are both really good examples of confidence. You don't have to be the big personality to be confident.
Right. And
great.
you're pointing out
Yeah.
something really important, Jody, and that is to accept who you are and embrace your gifts.
Exactly.
That requires not a fixed mindset, but a growth mindset,
Absolutely.
as Carol Dweck describes it. So in other words, a fixed mindset would be, that's just the way it is.
Or that's
not
just the way
me.
I am.
And that's just the way
That's
I am.
not
That's not
me.
me.
That's not
Yeah.
me.
I
It's
get
actually-
that.
yeah, that's right.
A growth mindset is I'm learning to take risks, or I'm open to learning this and trying
and
this
I can
out.
do more.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
understanding that it's not moving on, but moving ahead.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And moving ahead in your own growth. And to do that, when you're building confidence, when I work with clients, I have them do some baby steps every day, because confidence is like a muscle. Unless you use it daily, it atrophies.
Right.
Just like doing
Yeah.
bicep
Absolutely.
curls.
Absolutely.
And so showing up in the way that you need to
Right.
in the world to tell people that you are confident, such as not apologizing for yourself.
That's right.
In your body language, in your demeanor, in your language. I hear so many women say, "Oh, I'm sorry, am I bothering you?" No. It is, excuse
The
me, do you have a
apologetic
minute?
syndrome.
Excuse me, do you have a minute? You know, it's, oh, I'm sorry, I'm not really an expert, but. You know, you will catch, or we will all catch ourselves culturally doing those things. And we have to shift that to not only tell the world who we are, but to receive the message back that, yes, that is who we
Right.
are, the more confident person. So sometimes we reverse engineer some of those
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Yet after working with thousands of women across the continent and the arena of the self-confidence, what I've found is I've told a lot of women that just jump right in the middle of it. Palms sweating, heart palpitating and beating fast, just jump in it and do it. Because there's not training for this. You can't be trained for it, but you can jump in and do it despite the chorus of doubts that you hear playing in your head.
Yes.
So you've got to say, I can do this, I can do this. Oh my
Yes.
God.
Yes.
I was thinking the first time I stood in front of an audience, there were 3,000 people there, and I went, OMG. Oh, and I was panicked. You know, because, and then I got this little thing, is that, who are you trying to impress? Okay, do you have a message? So it's about your message, not about who you're trying to impress. And I'll tell you, that in turn built my confidence, but to get out there, because what? I have a message to bring. It's
Right.
not about how you're going to see me or perceive me. Of course, I didn't have dangling bracelets on for people to sort of catch their attention on my jewelry, but to really give a message. So sometimes it's just jumping off, doing it,
Yeah.
despite,
And not seeking approval out there.
Right.
no,
Right?
no.
And
No.
not asking for permission to be genuine out there somewhere.
I think sometimes doing the things that we feel causes fear, actually, we realize when we do it, it really had no reason to fear at all.
Right.
Like, yeah, that's
Exactly.
clear.
Yeah,
I mean, you come
exactly.
back and say,
Happens
wow,
all the
that
time.
was, I mean, I was all sweaty and, I got
You
in
see,
there, and
like,
I got in the moment. I can hear Lily saying, be present.
Yeah, one
Yes,
challenge
yeah.
is that a lot of people are okay with not being confident. They're okay with not doing more. It's like, yeah, I'm just not that confident. They're okay with that. And actually, this is an exercise that I do when I have a live group. I want everybody to like raise your hands high, like as high as it goes, like straight up, yeah.
Okay, I'm going to
So
do it.
try it.
Okay.
Try it.
Yes.
Okay, right? Is that the highest we'll go? Okay, straight, arm straight. So I'm
Arm straight.
Okay, arm straight. Okay, give me 1 inch more.
I
see?
did it.
See? Okay, so when we have the arm straight, you
Yeah.
think, okay, well that's my arms are only so
Yeah,
long, right?
yeah.
Yeah, they'll go high. That's pretty high, right?
Right.
But when I say 1 inch more,
We went higher.
everybody goes up. It's like, did you know that you had 1 inch more in you?
No, we figured.
You know, it's like you.
Beautiful.
But
Oh,
when
that's a good
somebody says,
visual. I
but
love
see,
that.
I love
as
that.
as a coach, I mean, that's what we do, right?
Yeah,
So
sure,
as a coach,
sure.
when I say, give me 1 inch more, that's when they go, oh, suck it up,
I just
sit
tell you.
up or whatever. You know, and it's like, that's how you find
Yeah.
out that you have more in you. You can do more.
Well, you know what? I certainly resonate to that when my personal trainer told me, okay, you can give me more. When I'm trying to
One
lift that
more
40 pounds,
Yeah.
come on, you can give me more. Come on, Dr. B. I'm like, oh my God, I gave him more.
No, seriously.
It's true.
And isn't
It's
that what
true.
we do as
Yeah.
coaches,
True.
though?
Yeah.
Because
It
we
does.
all
Right.
have more in us than what we think we do.
Right,
Yeah.
we do.
And
Yeah.
it's not possible to exhaust our potential in all eternity because we have so
No.
much in us.
That's right.
And knowing that and you know, having that confidence and saying, okay, I can do more, and it's okay
It's all right.
if it doesn't go well on the way to get there because it
Exactly.
probably won't.
And
You know?
at any age, because you hear a lot of people
Yeah.
say, well, I wish I had 20 years ago. That may be one thing, but it doesn't mean you can't shift and change now. You can
can-
absolutely
It's never too late.
build confidence.
Yes,
at
there's
any
no
age.
expiry
Yeah.
date on
Oh.
growth.
No.
You know,
I
yeah,
like
hit the
that.
wall.
There's no
That's
expiry
right.
date
Yeah.
on
Yeah, I'm
growth.
gonna write
Did you
that
get
down.
that?
Yeah,
I love
There's
that.
no best before date stamped
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
back of your neck.
Jody's me.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
We're just gonna
I mean,
go.
I
Yeah.
love that.
Go for
I
it.
love that. Okay.
And I think too that being confident is giving yourself permission to be authentic.
Yeah.
Like when
Oh,
I see
yes.
professionals, especially high-powered professionals, and I walk into offices and it's you look around and everything's like builder beige, you know? It's all about I gotta look the look. I gotta
Yeah.
look like I've
Yeah.
arrived. And so there's this illusion of there's a certain look for the accomplished professional. And I think
Well, there is. No, I'm just
Well,
teasing. I'm teasing.
yes and no. I mean, there are markers of success. Well, let's not
Yeah,
go
but
there.
I understand
But
what
the
you're
whole
saying.
idea of who are you really, and for women, that's especially challenging to be uniquely feminine inside of a profession. Most professions dominated by men. And so then how do you show up
Yeah.
being uniquely you? Authenticity and confidence kind of do this. In the professionals that I work with, that
Yeah.
when you've practiced the skill set of saying, I'm not looking for approval, I'm going to be me, and then you put that into your job, your professional appearance, your professional presence, suddenly you have that much more impact on people because people know who they're with. They know who
true.
you are. And they want to be with you. Even you were saying earlier about being with doctors and coaching them and so on. I went into a doctor's office where I looked up on her countertop and she had a collection of ceramic pigs. Random, right? But she had this thing, and it was really interesting because I was there with a parent and a child, and I was there as their advocate. And the little boy noticed the pigs too, and we had a really great conversation. So she comes in, we do the appointment, and then as she's leaving, I asked her about the pigs. And I was really disappointed because what she said to me is, oh, someone bought me one for Christmas once, and then it just became a thing. And she shrugs and leaves the room, and I thought, that is such a waste. To have all of that up there and have it mean nothing at all. So take them down because people are connecting with you in a false way.
Yes.
They
Yeah.
think that
Yeah.
that's important.
Yeah.
And she'd actually nurtured that. So suddenly all the people around her were giving her ceramic pigs
Wow.
for happy birthday. You get another pig. And why would you do that? Okay, so she's got 10 minutes for an appointment. This little boy connected with those ridiculous ugly pigs, and it wasn't a legitimate connection.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
being authentic
Wow.
in your
Right.
profession
Right.
is so important,
Right.
and that
Right.
requires confidence.
Yeah,
does.
it does.
It
Yeah.
does.
It does. Well, one of the things that I wanted to share, and I brought it here today, is the confidence factor. And there are 7 secrets to gaining confidence. And we talked about, we want to give you steps and some strategies that maybe you out there in the listening audience can take this. And the first one is that you need to consider yourself important. You matter. You count. You are important. And you should never, ever use your importance to put somebody else down Neither should you allow someone else to use their importance to put you down. And self-approval. I think, again, we talk a lot about self-approval. You have got to love yourself. And we talked, again, be authentic and comfortable with it. And so for women out there and men, be comfortable with who you are. Accept who you are. And that's okay. Self-mastery is like, I guess, the fourth one, the fourth secret. Be good at whatever you do. I mean, all of us have, when I think about self-mastery, I mean it in the sense of be determined, be focused, be clear about where you're going. If you don't know where you're going, you won't get there. If you don't have a roadmap. Define your values and connect with them. You talked about, here again, values, and you were talking with your client how you used her values to find they were not in sync with what her actual natural goals were or inclinations were. So to really be in sync with your values, to be disciplined, to define your values. What do you value? And connect with them. The other is self-belief. You have to believe in yourself. You have to know who you are. And you have to dare to live your dreams. And then I came up with number 6, and I love this. You got to take self-responsibility. You have to take responsibility for yourself. And I love this.
Good point.
Be emotionally sober. Be
Okay,
emotionally
so what does that mean?
sober.
Don't be emotionally
Well,
drunk.
you know,
Well, yeah,
even a good book says, the manufacturer's manual says, guard your emotions. And so when your emotions are flit and flop and everywhere, you're not emotionally sound. So emotionally sober means to be grounded with your emotions. And you can reprogram your thoughts. You can. And that's, you said it, and you've said it many ways, a mindset. And I can tell you, you can go on a 30-day fast. I did. Of not allowing any negative thoughts to come into your head for 30 days. If you can't do 30, try 7. Sometimes just a little chunk at a time, because you got to be on guard to watch the negative thoughts that come into your head and stop them and say them with a positive. I can do this. Because the negative thought, you can't do this, you're not worth, yes, I am. And you have to speak back to it. Speak life and not death. And practice rather than doing. Practice it.
Yes.
Practice. Own who you are.
Yeah.
And honor yourself. Honor you. Love you. I know I may be preaching to the choir out there, but some of you out there need to hear this. So I'm glad we're able to share with you today and to give you some things to learn how to be determined. Because we don't want to just talk about the topics. We want to share, we've shared our stories, but we want to also give you strategies and principles that you can hang on to. Something that can help you, even if it's 1 or 2 that I've said today, I hope. Learn to listen and learn to learn. Learn to listen and learn to learn. So as we wrap up our show today, I want you to be determined. Be dedicated. And I love this new word that's coming into my mind. Just be your own mastermind. Be your own mastermind. Be principled and stay focused. So this is Dr. Barbara Young and my co-host, and we are signing off for today and want to thank you for listening to the show. And thank you again watching the show. Stay tuned for more on Transformation Success TV, the Total Woman Show. Transforming lives one step at a time. Thank you, and God bless you.